South Sudan, Africa's youngest nation and economy, is at a fork road. Geopolitical and regional tension, including the ongoing war in Sudan, have negatively impacted this newest economic on the African continent. And if the right measures are not put in place right now, it might degrade the political climate. At the IMF World Bank Spring Meeting, officials delegation from the South Sudan government, led by the finance minister and the central bank governor, are having conversation with officials at the World Bank and IMF for assistance. I sat down with the Honorable Minister to take a closer look, for a closer look conversation on how they are handling all of these external shock and at the same time building and developing an enabling environment for the private sector to come into the country. Here is the conversation. Thank you so much for taking time. I know you're very, very busy in between meetings, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me. You are here throughout this week, and you're meeting with officials in the US, the IMF, the World Bank, and other organizations. Tell us, what was your agenda coming in? I know you've met with officials from the World Bank and IMF. So what are you seeking? What are you looking to get from the institution?
Thank you. I think these meetings are always arranged annually. And South Sudan also is one of the members that attends most of these spring meetings over the years as an annual gathering. The intention is to engage with the international financial institutions headed by IMF and World Bank, and then the rest. In South Sudan, we are not an island. We are already working with IMF and World Bank and other institutions like African Development Bank and the rest. So this engagement is already there. So our coming here is actually to enhance our cooperation. The cooperation that's already there. And then South Sudan, in this particular time, is going through a very difficult economic crisis. This was actually as a result of the war in Sudan. Of course, you know, South Sudan is a country that relies heavily on oil, and the oil has been affected, and it's not flowing. What is flowing is less than 30% of what we used to have. So it has affected revenue streams that come from those resources. So our engagement here also is to highlight the challenges that South Sudan is going through, and then seek their also support in areas where they can. And from us also, as a country, we are also working, and we are also trying to work and diversify our economy, because if a country becomes vulnerable because of over-reliance on one resource, it's a very high risk.
Yeah.
And we are trying to think about restructuring the economy in a way that will accommodate other sectors like agriculture, fisheries, livestock, and even mining, so that at least we have a diversified economy. Diversified economy is a resilient economy, and South Sudan has a potential for those resources, but it also needs development. And for us to develop those resources also, we need support from international partners and also from investors, so that we are able to tap on those resources. And by doing so, I think it's going to create a win-win situation for everyone, because when you invest in South Sudan, of course, you'll be able also to recover your investments. And also the support of the international community is also needed, because at this time we are also going through difficulties of the inflow of the refugees from Sudan. You know, Sudan is in crisis for almost 1 year now.
Yeah.
And the inflow of refugees and returnees, which has also created an additional burden on the government of South Sudan. And that's why we are now engaging with everybody to tell them the story, the real story of South Sudan.
Because when everyone think given the geopolitical crisis that we have around the world, there's so much focus on Ukraine, in the Middle East, and Africa is forgotten
That's right.
in that region.
That's right.
Neighboring countries like yours that rely are significantly impacted, and you get lost in that story. And the population bear the major brunt of what is going on. So, as you said, you are facing a lot of challenges, and as a small country, also trying to manage what is going on. We also have the issue of the Red Sea that impacts you also. So, as you manage these geopolitical and external shocks that you're feeling all around, you are also sort of creating the reason why you're talking to the World Bank, the IMF, the African Development Bank, is to create an enabling environment for your economic to grow. So talk to us about how you're doing that in the midst of all of this. So the private sector that comes in, they're looking at the challenges like this is too much. We like risk, but temporary. But there have been a lot of growth across the continent. As you say, you have these resources. Oil, for example, agriculture is another sector. So talk about how you're developing in the midst of this, that this talk that you're having with the IMF and World Bank will help you develop that enabling environment for the private sector to come in.
Yeah, thank you. I think this is exactly what we have discussed in most of our meetings, because at this time we have low-hanging fruits that we can capitalize on. If we talk about projects that will take long time, it doesn't help us at the moment. What will help us is quick intervention for us to provide food security, and especially when we have difficulties also that is related to floods. So we have also environmental problems.
Climate change.
Climate change is also affecting us very badly. So we cannot do it alone, but of course we are trying to do whatever we can within our means. But if the international community comes in through the World Bank, IMF, African Development, IFC, and all those institutions, I think they can enhance quickly the support that will be needed in South Sudan at this time. And we are confident that within this year and next year, South Sudan will start a new path towards development. And we want to take the opportunity of this crisis, okay, to be a positive one. We want to take it as an opportunity. Although it's a crisis, but we want to transform it into an opportunity by diversifying. Because early on, people were not thinking about the essence of agriculture, of tourism, of other sectors until the crisis hit South Sudan.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody's more serious now about diversification of the economy. And this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it becomes an opportunity. Because if the oil was to be flowing,
you won't think
people
of that
forget.
opportunity.
Yeah, people will not get that opportunity. So for us, we see it as an opportunity to start diversification of our economy so that we can also create an enabling environment for everybody, especially for our private sector and for the local communities, because our people are farmers by nature, and naturally they are farming actually, and then they also rear livestock, and this is very important. We need to also make sure that we also educate them on how to transform those resources into wealth, because lack of education as well also plays a negative role. You have resources, but you don't know how to monetize those resources.
Yeah.
So monetization of resources as well is one of the things that the government can help. And it doesn't need a lot from us, just to open corridors and make sure that we also have access to the production areas. And that's why today South Sudan is building roads. And it is the only country maybe in Africa that is building road through its own resources directly. Others use Chinese loans, they use loans from financiers, but South Sudan is not doing that. South Sudan is using oil resources directly to build this road, and they are building roads now. I think it's a new example. Yeah, you see highways in South Sudan today, they are built through South Sudan. We have not got any loan from anyone. And the records of loan of South Sudan is not also like any other country. in the whole African continent. Although it is new, and given the crisis that we have gone through, you will expect that South Sudan maybe is overburdened with huge loans, but it's not, that's not the situation. It's completely opposite. The loans we have is very little, and these are manageable. We can also manage them. But the little support that we can get from international financing institutions can also enhance the efforts of the government to make sure that we quickly, close the cycle of poverty.
Before it becomes a vicious cycle.
Yeah, so we can quickly close this cycle, and then it's a very small economy. Yeah, but we need to build it to be resilient, and for it to be resilient, it has to be diversified. It has to be, driven by the people themselves, by the private sector. The government will also provide support to the private sector and to the local communities and to, cooperatives for them to do whatever they want to do. And also, smaller scale industries is what we want to use as well for us to add value in our resources. Because also going for agriculture alone without adding value within the country becomes a big problem. So our focus will be actually, import substitution of critical materials, critical commodities.
Okay.
The moment we start with that, I think.
Import or export?
Import.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, we are importing everything. Okay. So if we substitute the import by local production for the critical commodities, then we are doing everything. See, and the critical commodities are known. Okay, it's food, medicine, and fuel.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you can do that, and we are capable of doing that, because South Sudan also has oil, and therefore we can produce our own fuel and then export. Because as you import, it requires hard currency.
Yeah.
The outflow of hard currency becomes high. But when you produce locally, then now you cancel all the hard currency that
the
outflows.
middleman and the outflow. Yeah.
Yeah. So it creates like a balance. And if you are able to balance the critical commodities, I think that's a very significant, improvement in whatever we do. And this will be the first step for us to move to the next step.
So I know in your meeting, education, as you mentioned, is a huge part of what you're doing also. Investment in human capital. That was something the managing director have talked about. Energy is a huge part of this. You have oil, and as yesterday the announcement from the World Bank president about providing more energy across the continent. So talk about, I know you sort of broadly mentioned, but what sectors are open to investors? What sectors are you that right now are priority for you? You mentioned agriculture.
That's right.
Tourism.
Mm-hmm.
And what are the other sectors that you see right now that okay?
And even industry.
Industry.
Okay. We have not developed an industrial sector, and then energy.
And energy.
Yeah, these are the key sectors that we want investors to come in, and these are readily available. And raw materials are ready for that, and even the space for those who want to come into South Sudan as well is easily provided. And that's why we thought the key factors that will also enhance development is roads and energy. Roads and power.
Yeah.
I can say.
Without power,
because,
you can't do anything.
Yeah, you can't do anything. And then for the roads, we have already moved very well, but not sufficient. And we have also river transportation. So the transportation sector is one of the key areas that we want also investors to come in, and then also ICT, okay, information and communication technology. These are key areas that are open for investors, and then it can change the whole country in no time. And I'm sure South Sudan has a potential to be the hub of Central and Eastern Africa region.
It should be the next Rwanda still.
Yes, yeah, this potential is there. We just need to tap into that. And we cannot also be discouraged by the rumors that people hear about South Sudan, the travel, ban.
Yeah,
yeah. This is also causing, but for me, I think this is not the real story of South Sudan being told to everybody.
So what is the story of South Sudan?
The story of South Sudan is that South Sudan is a stable country. Yes, we have some clashes here and there, but it's not politically motivated. It's only a struggle on resources. Because we know South Sudan, most of the communities are pastoralists, okay? And the effect of climate change has caused problems of scarcity of water in some areas and flood in some areas. So people go on and fight over those, and cattle rustling becomes like a habit because the youth are not engaged. So this has been there for quite, sometimes. But I think if we capitalize on that, we can arrest the situation. But there's no any political, there's no any rebellion fighting in South Sudan. Agreement was signed in 2018. The coalition government is formed, transition government of national unity, and the government is now ready for elections by the end of this year. So we've also put some resources to see to it that the election takes place on time. And then after that, of course, we ensure political stability in the country. So we're paving the ground already for investment and for peace and stability in the region.
And for the next generation also.
That's right.
Yes, so you are meeting, part of your, on this trip, you will also be meeting with US officials?
Yes, some I think.
Okay, so could you talk to us about what, you don't need to go into details, what those meetings, what assistance are you seeking from the US government? What would you like them to do?
Most of the time, we just wanted to have a harmonious relationship.
Harmonious relationship.
Yeah, this is key. Because when we have also harmonious relationship, which means we have to continuously engage in a positive manner. Because, sometimes when you like that, it becomes very difficult for you to cooperate. Yeah, and we know that the US has been essential for South Sudan, independence. With the Troika, they have played a very positive role.
Yeah.
So they are very good friends. And we need to maintain that relationship with the US, with all the other countries, because South Sudan is a friendly country. We have no enemies. We have not identified any country that is an enemy to us. We are all friends, and the best friend we have is America, UK, and Norway, and the rest, you see, because the Troika are the ones helping South Sudan in so many things. So we want to maintain good relationship with them and cooperate with them in every aspect and coordinate our efforts to, like the way we started. They started to support South Sudan even before independence. Yeah, so they are very good friends, and we need to engage with them all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, I guess my last two questions to you is, this meeting, oftentimes, I know you are in talk about, oftentimes people come to this meeting and it's all talk and talk and talk and nothing comes out of it. I'm sure this is not your first time of being here. And you've had conversation with the bank and with your colleagues also from other African nations and other countries. So what are you hearing regarding those conversations of how people think of the region?
Well, I think, I made it in most of my talks and in my meetings that we need to see results quickly. Because at times when we meet and we have a resolution on a roadmap that is agreed that people move forward, we need to also be faster. Because the speed also matters. Because I may need support today, critically, but if this support fails to come on time, tomorrow I may not be interested in that. Yeah, so it has to come timely. This is some of the, issues that we discussed, and I'm sure even the international financial institutions, they have also admitted, delays also, especially disbursement for projects that are meant for development and for economic growth in most of the countries.
Yeah, I think the President Banga was talking about that. It will take time.
Efficiency.
Yeah.
So we work together because we are also partners. We don't blame anybody,
Okay.
but we need to work together and make sure that we also improve the efficiency of the institutions, and then make sure that also we deliver on our promises, and also make sure that whatever we do here next year when we come, there has to be a positive progress.
Okay. So when you, in your assessments, with the crisis that you are currently dealing with right now. When you come back next year, perhaps in the fall, before the election, what are some of the results that you would like to see from this meeting? The conclusion of this.
I think when we come here for the next Springs meeting, we should be able to see that South Sudan is connected to Ethiopia, Djibouti, because that's a very critical corridor for South Sudan.
With the Red Sea.
That's correct, the Red Sea. Number two, we want to see power being integrated from Ethiopia, from Uganda into South Sudan, because we have already started those projects. And I think the African Development Bank, the World Bank, all of them are working together to make sure that those projects are all integrated together and work. And then also the Horn of Africa initiative is a very good platform for us also to coordinate most of those efforts that come from the international partners. So we wanted to see this. If I can see power come to South Sudan and the road open, I think that's all we need. Because by having this agriculture that I talked about, and industries that I talked about, we have now a foundation.
Okay. I guess what you just mentioned, logistic,
Yep.
is a huge part of, Djibouti is a huge port in Africa.
That's right.
African Continental Free Trade Agreements is key to what you're talking about
That's right.
regarding this trade.
That's
So, taking advantage of that, what is your message right now to the rest of the continent as with what's unique?
I think my message would be simple and clear. Let us continue to pursue the path of integration. This integration is what will make us free, is what will make us stable, and it will also give our future generation a hope that we'll have sustainable economies, sustainable peace. If we have these two, I think we have everything.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Minister. Thank you so much.
Thank you.